I am Jeffrey Villaduen in the historical scenario, the Battle of Friedland from Napoleon Total War. This may well be a one-off, and I want to go over the battle and just discuss the strategy. So when one comes to the battle, what are the options? How I go about it. And these are interesting battles, these historical scenario battles, because they are set up so as to be challenging.
June 14th, 1807. General Bennigsen has made a grave error in his judgment. Ordering his entire army across the Dal to the west of Friedland, he believes his force vastly outnumbers my deceptively isolated lane 5th Corps. In addition, Gorchakov and Bagration are providing Bennigsen with additional Russian troops on the right and left flanks, respectively. To my northern left flank, Grouchy and Nansouty's cavalry occupy the village of Heinrichsdorf and should provide excellent cover for my main assault. Marshal Lannes occupies the center and will tempt my Russian enemies in to what will prove to be their demise.
So in the rear battle, Napoleon had 80,000 men. Here, in total, he has 1,600 men, or 1,400 men, but he only really commands 800. So you see here the force Napoleon commands. Napoleon just went by. Here is some horse-drawn artillery. And here's his army going up in this position over here. So here is his ally, so to speak. There's one army on the left there under Grouchy. There's an army here under General Ney, and another army here under Jean Lannes. So here are the opponents over here. There were some Russians. So there are 4 infantry units and a cavalry unit. There are more here, the Prussians. Infantry, 2 cannon batteries, some cavalry there. General Bennigsen, Count von Bennigsen, plenty of cavalry. And there are some more Russians here, 2 units of infantry and a cavalry unit. And so what are the options? What can one do? One possibility is to fight around here and draw the enemy here. You can put the artillery up on this hill. I played the scenario in this way. You can still win. It's not so easy. The enemy will try to cross through there, through that ford, and so you can draw all the enemy army on this side. You can tire them by forcing them to march across the battlefield. You can put your artillery here and try to hit them as they cross that narrow crossing. The problem is, although this is still a high position, if you check, you don't really have a very good view of that river from over here, even if you put the artillery at the very top. So it's very hard to aim at that ford. The best position is here, actually. This is where you have your best chances, but because from here you have a good command of the enemy and throughout the deployment. You can also leave your army around here where they were first spawned, but it's a very narrow corner. It doesn't have a very good field of view. Another possibility is to put the artillery here. And if you put it here, you have a good command of that crossing, but just that crossing. You have no command of the rest of the battlefield. So you can see the crossing is in view from anywhere around here, but then you have to defend this position. You defend the artillery. It's not a very good place to defend. Also, there are trees around, so your artillery will not be very effective. So I've done here the standard thing I think most players do. I put my artillery on that hill that has a very good command of the entire battlefield and a view of the enemy artillery position. So if the enemy artillery tries to get closer, you can hit them from here. And so the fastest thing to get into position is that horse-drawn 6-pounder artillery. So they're about to start firing at the Russians on the left. They will attack our left wing under Grouchy. So they start firing already, which is interesting. I don't know how this works, but you can see the Russians are outside the firing range of the 6-pounders. You still can hit them. I was surprised at this. I don't know how it happened. But although you hit them beyond the maximal range, nobody gets killed, so they all got up. It just got a little bit disorganized. I guess that's something. You have unlimited artillery fire, so the artillery has unlimited ammunition. It doesn't run out of ammunition. So there are some scripted parts in this battle. The early parts are scripted out, and so the Prussians and Russians are now moving forward. We keep strafing them with artillery, striking them with artillery. They don't actually lose any men at this point. They're too far away. Artillery is inaccurate. It is quite amazing to think that 80,000 men fought under Napoleon at this battle. This is the numbers are mind-blowing at this period of history. The numbers of men, and to think that all of them wore these extravagant uniforms that you see here in battle, that's just mind-blowing. The combination of how many men were in such pretty kit. Alright, so here are the Prussians, and they are attacking our center under Marshal Ney, and here they've been attacked by artillery. Finally, artillery scored some hits. These men are about 400 meters or so away, and at this range, the artillery is not very accurate. There's an exchange of fire. All this is scripted out. Also, the behavior of our friendly units, these allies, is scripted out. They're not retreating, they're not moving forward. And from around about here, or in about a minute or so, units will start doing their own thing, more or less. So now they've started doing their own thing. So you can see General Grouchy here has attacked. So the cavalry you see here is mostly general bodyguards, lifeguards. So this is the lifeguard of General Grouchy, if I'm not mistaken. It might be wrong. And some Russian or Prussian cavalry has counterattacked. So there's a melee here. These small sort of skirmishing forces at the front, they're doomed. I mean, you feel bad about them that you cannot help them more. But first of all, Napoleon's force is spawning too far away to get to the battlefield on time. And if you try to rush them to the battlefield, they get tired. They will not be there on time. They'll barely get there on time. And there are no good places to deploy your units if you want to get a good result, if you want to win convincingly, which is what I'm trying to do here. So the army on this side has been not doing very well, our allies. We've lost General Grouchy. There are 2 infantry units, very small numbers. I'm not sure what they were, grenadiers or something. I'm trying to support them with my artillery. And we lost General Jean Lance, I think, at this point. That's right. He was fighting on the right over here, and he did something stupid with his bodyguard, and so he got slain. I think his entire army has been wiped out. The French, I think, Marshal Ney has sent a couple of small units this way, but the French were just very, very weak, very much outnumbered. And so our enemies, they are Prussians and Russians, have defeated our allies. So here's the view from that hillside. So I've set up now both cannon batteries, the 6-pounders on the left, the 12-pounders on the right, and they're pounding the enemy armies. So here's our deployment. We have the artillery in the middle, and we have a kind of U-shape around them. And the idea is we want to draw our enemy up this gentle hill slope towards our artillery. Then they will find themselves in some kind of crossfire. Our opponent is reorganizing. You can see there their units, they are reorganizing around the battlefield. As long as they're reorganizing, we can hit them with our artillery. And they're wasting a lot of time just reorganizing themselves. Here's that force on the left. The Russians are doing well there. They've completely obliterated that side. In the center, we see the enemies just moving around almost aimlessly, except this cavalry unit here that received a cannon shot that killed a few of the horsemen. They are chasing a routed unit. And as they're chasing the routed unit, they are coming towards Napoleon's deployment up on that hill. And wow, surprise, surprise, they are greeted with a hail of fire, including grape shot. Okay, they've changed their mind. So we wiped out probably 2/3 of that unit. I'm very much focusing on the enemy cavalry because it's a threat to our artillery. We can handle the infantry as long as they don't attack en masse, but it's more difficult to handle the cavalry if they charge our artillery. That's why you put the artillery very far out the back inside this U shape. So hopefully enemy cavalry will break all the way there if they try to charge our artillery. And so we keep shooting at the enemy cavalry preferentially, as long as they're relatively stationary near the center, and when not, we're just hitting any units we can. We're hitting the units at the front so we can ricochet and hit someone of those behind, and you can see there there's a Russian force coming towards our right flank, and we are preparing for a defense of that flank. You have to do things in advance, do things calmly, and so that our men don't get tired and they're fresh when they go into battle. Here's the Old Guard. So the Old Guard are guarding this high point here on top of this cliff. They look wonderful. This guy shot a blank shot, he misfired. The other guys are firing live shots, they're doing okay. And you can see now the enemy, as they try to approach, they end up in this crossfire. We have Fusiliers of the line on the two U sides. Here are some Prussians or Russians, whatever they are. I'm trying here to win in the most convincing way. So I'm using all the advantages I can have. The hill advantage, the U shape, the artillery firing, grape shot or canister shot. And over here on the right, the enemy infantry here is making it up this side to our flank. Now we're positioning our Old Guard and a company of Fusiliers of the line. The Fusiliers have started firing at them. The Old Guard is still getting into position. And our cavalry is taking position also, so we can charge them. The enemy is bringing this cavalry unit here. And around here now and then there were some gaps in the replay, so I'm doing this from a replay. You can see sometimes the replay freezes, I'm sorry about this. It's only here, so bear with me. So Napoleon inspired that cavalry unit there, so we're about to charge the enemy cavalry. The enemy cavalry there tried to attack our cannon from the rear, but we intercepted them. And we can also charge their infantry. We can charge their infantry also with our infantry. And so now they are cooked. They are completely overwhelmed here. They are trying to form a square a little too late. Now we have a charge, so we've charged them also here with our infantry.
Sir! Sir! Our general is under attack!
He's not under attack, he's attacking himself. So we're out at 2 of the enemy units here, we're out at 3 of the units, so there's only 1 unit still fighting, and that unit is gone. So we even routed here those Semenovsky Life Guard infantry, which was a very tough infantry unit. And so, we're just taking prisoners now. This was a complete disaster for the Ally on this side. We lost very few men. Completely wiped out army. Had we tried to fight them on the right, we would have had a lot more casualties. And the battle continues here. We're only firing grape shot at this point, or canister shot. Some of the enemy cavalry managed to get in, but instead of attacking our cannon, they decided to attack our fusiliers of the line on the right. And they are being engaged there in melee. Now we have defeated that flanking attack of the AI, so we can send reinforcements to help our right wing.
One of our units has used all its ammunition, sir.
The young guard have used all their ammunition, no big deal, because by now the enemy is defeated. Our canister shot is wiping out our enemy. They are suffering tremendous casualties. So you can see now that our reinforcements, our reserves have been freed up. They can help on the right there. Another freeze in the replay here. Apologies, that's the last freeze. And so here's Count von Benningsen. You can see him here, completely isolated. His army has retreated. And he has been slain or wounded or taken prisoner. So enemy general has been wounded, Count von Benningsen. Okay, so that was the last remaining enemy unit in good order, except for their artillery. So you see, all our enemy, the entire enemy army has retreated. Just their artillery is still in good order. They're up here. We could shoot at them from the distance. And the rest of the army is retreating. They are being hit by our artillery as they're retreating, and they're being chased by our cavalry. Here's some of the retreating enemy cavalry that couldn't take that grape shot. The horses panicked and they're running off. And along with the enemy cavalry also some infantry is running off. Our cavalry is running after them. And now the enemy artillery are shooting at our cavalry, but they are at difficult angles, so our cavalry is relatively safe. Not completely safe. Somehow they managed to pull a shot that just grazed the hill and took down a couple of our horsemen. So we reached the lines of the retreating enemy infantry. We killed a few infantrymen there, and we're still chasing that cavalry. Not so much in order to catch them, but just because chasing routed units.
Victory, sir, is soon to be yours.
Chasing routing units helps you go faster, I think. And so we can gallop fast through the battlefield. And now there was a reserve unit, a very badly wounded enemy cavalry unit here. They tried to intercept us. We had numerical superiority, higher morale, so we have defeated them. They've been routed. So our enemy still had that one unit. I'd forgotten about them. Now they are down to just those two artillery batteries. And here's one of them. Seems like they have been routed by our artillery fire. They're about to be charged by our cavalry.
The men are fatigued, sir, and must rest a while.
Okay, our cavalry is getting tired, so unfortunately Napoleon now will have to do light cavalry duty. It's your job. So here's our glorious commander, he's chasing the routed enemy units. Here he is. And the music is glorious, particularly this track, so there's Napoleon. So this battle is over. So my aim was to get the most convincing possible victory. I don't play Napoleon very much. I do like all Total War series games except perhaps Warhammer, which is for younger people. But there's not enough time to play all the games and all the campaigns and all the mods, so I play Medieval 2 mostly because it's more moddable. That's the main reason. So here's the other side of the battlefield. We also have a cavalry unit here. They're chasing down some routed units somewhere here in the trees. They know where they are, I don't. Here's Napoleon chasing down those other units retreating through these fields. His bodyguard looks very glorious. They are very fashionably dressed. And here's Napoleon on the left. And here's the rest of our army in that huge shape on top of the hill. As you can see, we suffer relatively light casualties. Those units here at the front are still in square formation. They've killed a lot of cavalry. Here's our artillery, magically reappearing on the battlefield as you scroll over them. Here's the young guard. They suffered the most casualties. Artillery kept shooting because they were at the front, so the enemy units, the AI likes to shoot at the units at the front and attack the units at the front, so they suffer high casualties, but they survived. And so the interesting thing now would be to see what is the result. So we lost 267 men out of 800, killed 1254. Our allies killed 463, lost 443. Very good result overall. The artillery and cavalry did the best. One of the artillery units killed 257 of the enemy. And so that was the Battle of Friedland. Thank you for watching.